Unmuted. Hey Travis, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Yes. It's that intersection project.
Give them, let everyone sign in and then we'll call the order. Susan.
Pardon?
Oh, I said sometimes Susan do it in mine, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Like we've got some more people in the room here. I'll go ahead and call them.
I guess I could, couldn't
Go ahead and call the meeting to order at 5:02. I'm Kim Streeter, I'm the chair. FAST Planning, bicycle and pedestrian committee members that we have in the room here are Larry Servos, Richardson, myself, Matt Ralph. And FAST planning staff that we have in the room are Olivia Lunsford and Jackson Fox. We have one bicycle and pedestrian committee member online, Travis Neighbor. And as far as guests in the room, we have Donald Galligan and Gordon Duffsa. And then online we have Phoebe Bradley. Item number 3 is the approval of the Thursday, April 24th agenda. This is on page 4 of your packet, I believe, or no, it's page 1. Do we have any edits or additions to the agenda for today? Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve the agenda on that? Motions and Jim seconds. Okay. And opposed, so we'll move on to the approval of the March 27th, 2025 meeting minutes on page 2 to 4 of your packet. If you guys have had a chance to look over the minutes, if there's any errors or clarification that you would want in the minutes, you can go ahead and suggest that now.
Just one detail, they lock and roll, it's ROLL, not ROLE, I think.
Oh, did we misspell that on one of the?
I'm sure just.
Okay.
In case.
Yeah, no, we can address that.
Yeah. Got it, Marie.
It's amazing what you do catch, what you don't catch.
I have just a small addition of the
Oh.
word, in the, it's my comment, that the book when driving is not an option. Commented that the book when driving not an option, and it was well read.
Oh, well worth the read.
Not worth the read, yeah.
Mhm. Okay.
I said, I commented, I think I should say I read the book.
Oh.
And then we'll switch. Cause it says West Valley Bike Swap Saturday, May 3rd, but I believe now that's the FCC bike swap.
Oh, okay,
So I don't want people looking at these and getting.
sure. Okay.
When is the bike swap?
The FCC one is the 3rd and the West Valley one is the 10th.
Yep.
Yeah, that's written down.
Do we have a motion to approve the meeting minutes? Larry motions, Jim second.
Yeah.
Thank you. guys. That brings us to item number 5 on the agenda, which is our staff and working group and chair reports, starting on page 5 of your packets. Jackson and Jim stuff.
Yeah, I'm not actually gonna, we have a series of action items in here, but rather than kind of go through them. Because they might be confusing as you read it. I think people that even attended the meeting, like, what the heck happened? There was a lot of 3-3 votes and motions that failed and. In any event, so the recap here on the project side is that. The board did approve the PD Nordell roundabout to move forward. DOT will be tasked at looking some alternatives out there, but. If it doesn't become a roundabout, the funding may go away. But at this point, there is going to be a design start initiated for that, and that'll be the location for the next roundabout. They also made the decision to de-obligate the funding on Pearl Creek Elementary for their access improvements, and then reprogram that funding to other existing school projects. I think I mentioned a list of those during the last meeting. But that was a decision. But things that are a little bit more exciting is that in this amendment to our funding plan, they did double the amount for the FAST improvement program, which includes additional non-motorized locations this summer for construction. So in addition to the Mitchell Expressway path getting fully resurfaced and the fencing repaired, they are part of that bid that's going out. And I just got the final stamp plans today. They will perform the spot repairs on Davis Road. Like Peter Stern took some photos of that where there's a kind of a linear crack down the middle of the path there. And they're going to perform all the repairs to Farmers Loop path. And this is predominantly from, I think it's Alumni Drive up to Belane. So that section of the roadway. And perform spot repairs. Actually, I think there's sections of pavement that they're replacing on the Chena River Walk on the south side between downtown and Pioneer Park. And then for the Chena Lakes Rec area, converting the gravel trail on the South Peninsula, converting that from gravel to actually being paved. So those are some non-motorized additions that are going to make it into that have made it into that bid package. And then the only other thing I guess worth noting is that DOT decided they wanted to increase the budget dramatically for the Chena Ridge and Chena Pump Road resurfacing project. Previously that was funded at 12 million for what was told to me as a slurry seal, kind of like a chip seal. Anyways, some type of treatment that may buy that roadway another 5 years, but they increased the budget to just over 24 million to do a full mill and pave. So it'll get fresh asphalt and should last another 20 years. I don't believe there's going to be any shoulder widening associated with that, because it is just a preventative maintenance project, but it will be nice to see new pavement. It's quite a few miles of roadway for Chena Pump and Chena Ridge, that pretty much the whole loop there. And then in coordination with that, there'll be the new roundabout that goes in at Chena Small Tracks and Chena Pump, which may or may not be constructed this summer. It sounds like that portion of the project is going to be a separate bid package and may go out to bid a little bit later, but we'll see how that all ties together. So in any event, that's my updates. It's mostly positive news. We're taking care of some of our non-motorized facilities.
Do you have anything?
No, I'll kind of cover, I could probably actually make these 3 items staff report related for the future. So anyways.
So Kim, could I mention one more thing? I did get a phone call from Cam Webb. And I'm hoping Travis can confirm the date for me, but as I understand, there's going to be a memorial ride and dedication to the path. On May 24th, 10 a.m. This is a Saturday at 10 a.m. and all are welcome to join on the ride. There'll be a ride associated.
Yeah, I confirm that date.
Thank you, Travis. that. So mark your calendars for that.
I don't have anything for the chair's report today, so we'll go ahead. Move on to the public comment period. Oh, important. For the record, Yvette Hall from the DOT is now in the meeting. You guys have any public comments that you wanted to give, or just wait till your item? Yeah. Sweet. Does anyone online have any public comment that they'd like to give right now? Right, hearing none, we'll go on to old business. Our first item is our bicycle friendly community application on page 10.
Not much from me in terms of updates on this application. This was our last sort of defined section. Everything else that's left is conclusion. And I'm actually going back through now and answering the more data heavy questions. So, but I was able to go through this section pretty well. Even all of these check marks, different things that our community has. I think it was either this section or, yeah, transit agency or something. I don't know, I actually felt really good about this section. So I know that we've gotten our hopes kind of squashed in a couple of the other sections, but this particular one, because the MPO, I mean, we're required to do all of our planning through a Title VI lens, which is civil rights and non-discrimination based and equity based. And so this particular section, I found that our community is actually, because of that work and the work of our community partners, we're doing a good job in the equity and accessibility aspect, just when it comes to like the planning. There was one specific one that I wanted to acknowledge in here, but it might have actually been a section beyond. I think that this was yeah, we've got local independent bike shops, we've got all kinds of bike clubs. We've got, like school district and public and private schools do bike rodeos and bike safety days, same with UAF, and then we've got green bikes, we have a nonprofit bike shop. I mean, I was able to check about 50% of these off, and the application asked me to go through and define how each of these check marks is contributing to the community, so. Yeah.
A lot of work.
Thanks, yeah, it is, but it's worth it. I just wanna, I wanna have a place for us to start from. And as I said at our last meeting, going through this application has really helped me just reorient which tools I really wanna launch, and ways that, I mean, we could even further contribute to the non-motorized community through the MPO work, so. Yeah, we're almost there, and I'm really excited to show you all sort of like a packet of all of the answered questions. That'll probably be at our next meeting.
So we'll have a chance to look at it before we send it in.
I think so. I can't, well, I think it's actually due early June, but I could send you.
Yeah,
Okay. Sure, yeah, when I finish filling it all out, I could send you a link and I can go from there.
Does anyone have any questions about the application?
The only reason I would like to see it is because, on that one page with all the connection, all the possibilities, I would like to see how we're connected to them. And that's what I don't know.
So I'm sorry, Olivia, when do we have to, if we look at it, want to make some changes, we got to get back to you by when?
I don't have the timeline right in front of me, but I can get you that answer.
Okay, so we'll get that on email before we submit the application, since the application deadline is after or before our next meeting.
Yeah, it's June 25th, so it'll be the day
Okay.
before our next meeting.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah, we'll say, we'll have a goal to have comments by Monday. June 20, what would that be? Second.
We're still having a meeting in May, right?
Nope,
Not right now, we don't have one scheduled for May.
because of, we'll get there.
Great. Thanks for that status update. The next item here is item 7B, which is our Bike and Pedestrian Advisory Committee name change.
Pretty much what it says. I
Yeah.
just wanted you to know, Jackson. was
Yeah,
right.
the timing of that action item at our last meeting, we didn't get that into the ad and online public notices to be an action item for the technical committee and fall supporter in the month of April. So, but I have shared the action items that were not yet signed with both committees, so they know it's coming to them for their May 7th and May 21st meetings.
Okay, so we're still the Bike and Ped Committee until.
Until they bless that, but
Okay, I may have.
I
jumped the
will
gun.
say that the technical committee members
We all
and policy board members, they all had a smile on their face when they heard the new name.
Yeah.
So I think it's gonna be supported. Adding additional seats to the committee may be a different discussion, but the name change for sure.
Yeah, that's that.
So we'll see how that goes.
Item 7B is the bicycle friendly FBX program. Did you bike here?
So many things in this program. Happy to provide an update. So number one, we do have a Did You Bike Here raffle drawing happening at the co-op right now. So every time you bike to the co-op, you can submit your name to be drawn for a spot in Simon Rackauer's bicycle maintenance class, which starts on May 8th. And I know it seems like close to the time, but this is actually how we did it last spring, and both of the names that we drew, people were super excited, because what I did was on the slip that people are writing their names on, I have a little acknowledgement box that says, I understand that the classes start on May 8th. And so it's not a surprise, people put their name in the hat and then write it down or put it in their calendar or whatever. So yeah, pretty much every single time. And then we'll do that at the end of May 5th. I'll go and draw a name. And they're a great partner to have. They let me bring in a whole sandwich board and put it inside and a nice little box. And then our bike friendly Fairbanks, this used to be called the Bikeways Map sponsorship. We switched it to be the Bike Friendly Fairbanks partnership buy-in, just to make it a little bit easier for everybody to kind of wrap their heads around what they're getting behind, which is ultimately the Bike Friendly Fairbanks program. The Bikeways Map is a component of that program, as well as our free bike valet, our high visibility swag, and I guess, yeah, additional bike related swag or safety related swag, components of our winter maintenance forum, this committee's work, and so on. So it's just a flat rate buy-in. I've been emailing people for the last 2 weeks to get, buy-in on the map. And so I do think we're gonna have fewer business sponsors. All of our repair kit hosts have been amazing. Every single one of them has renewed their partnership buy-in, which is awesome. And we've raised about $2,000 through this effort. And then we will have, we have an additional 5,000 set aside. So we'll be able to order 7,000 maps again this year, which is really the ultimate goal. Kind of everything else can sort of take the back seat. So this is just, I guess, a screenshot of the newsletter that I sent out. So we're gonna change up the legend a little bit. And it's gonna be more of this style. So all of the businesses are it's sort of gonna elevate the competition between them. So we're gonna have business names and then all of the ways that they're contributing to be a bike friendly business. And then we'll have a partner section with everybody's logo at the same scale. But I think that it's a really strong opportunity for businesses to have their logo there. Number one, cheapest print advertising in the community, I think, anyway. And then kind of an opportunity to showcase, your unique logo that you've worked so hard on as a business. Thank you to Kinney Engineering for being a partner. We're also gonna be doing those digital version updates as well, so adding in those parking spots like I told you about, and then we're also, I made some headway since our last meeting on the public restroom facilities. I had some folks map out ones that they knew they can access, and, I was able to also locate, in the borough data, the parks that have restrooms, so, I'll be able to have those on the digital map, which will be really exciting. And I think. Yeah, and then this is just kind of an example of the form that we're running right now. We also are sort of re-asking the question now that the program has been alive for 3 years. We're sort of re-asking like, what are the ways that you're a bike friendly business? You know, do you have bike parking? Do you have amenities for your customers or employees? And this is a new one that I'm really excited about. How easy is it to access your business or organization by bike, like at your location? I just think that it's a really thought-provoking question and might inspire somebody to make a different decision in the future about where they put their business. Incentives and support, and then promotion and advocacy. So that's like sponsoring bike races or having a punch card system, what have you. So I'm really excited about those. And then the other big news item was that we are working with Dorian again. Some people last year really wanted to just pay the top amount that they could and get a repair kit, even though we weren't offering repair kits last year. So I touched base with Bankstown and he's willing to order any at cost again, if there's somebody that's just really passionate about also having a repair kit. So far, nobody has taken a bite at this, even though that's a screaming deal for either one of those things. So yeah, we'll see. I don't really know. It's also just kind of a funny time to be asking people to spend money. So I think that might be a little bit reason as to why. That's my update. I'm planning to close the partnership buy-in, after the weekend, and Corey and I should have a draft version of our map to send to the printer, in the next week and a half. So fingers crossed, all of that goes according to plan. Unless there's any questions.
Does anyone have any questions about the bike friendly FBX program?
Oh, I do have one more thing. Oh, Bike to Work Week. We are working with Parks and Rec to do a Bike to Work Week thing. You might be receiving an email from me just to see if you want to go stand at a table for an hour and hand out snacks on a day that people are bike commuting.
Hand out what?
Snacks
Oh,
or
snacks.
something, yeah. And historically, we did it on a Wednesday and a Friday, but I think that I think Friday is a pretty slow day. I think if I were gonna choose one day, it would be Wednesday. And I don't know, I was curious about the BPAC's opinions on that, because especially in Alaska, once the sun starts shining, I feel like 3-day weekends start to just, you know, be more of a priority. So, thoughts, Wednesday, best day to catch people on bikes commuting to work?
Doing just morning or morning after,
And that was the next question. Yeah,
because I'm normally at work an hour before, like,
yeah,
it's historically been in the morning.
yeah, okay. So yeah, maybe afternoon, maybe the commute home, starting at 3.
How will you meet them or get them?
The year that we did it, so it was 2 years ago, we looked at our Strava Metro data and we were able to pinpoint hotspots
Oh.
and then basically just select, there were like, I think Parks and Rec put out like 7 to 10 stations along the most popular and heavily commuted routes. And then we also have our replica data now as well. So we have enough data to back up at least, you know, let's put a station here. So that's really just where we'd start. I know that on the river walk by the Antler Arch, they didn't get many people, but corner of Geist and the Joe and University, I mean, they got tons of bikers. So I guess just be thinking about it, but I'm in the throes of collaborating with Parks and Rec for Bike to Work Week as we speak. So that's all my updates.
Thanks, Olivia. It looks like we have a new guest. You're welcome. For the record, can you state your name, please?
Steve Bosfield,
Okay, thanks for joining us today.
thank you.
Great, number 8 is new business. Our first item is the Sheep Creek Extension Parks Highway intersection. And it looks like this is on page 28 of your packet. You guys, yeah, if you wanna.
I'll take it off.
Hi,
Hi.
Okay, it looks like we have Yvette Hall from DOT here to present an update.
yep, and if you have some questions, we have the lead designer here as well.
Okay.
So thank you for having me today. I was asked to talk about the Parks Highway Sheep Creek signalization project. This is a HSIP funded project. That means we are using Highway Safety Improvement Program funds. The projects that are funded from this pot of money are there is a history on how they come to be. We look at crash clusters through the region, and where there are crash clusters, the traffic engineer analyzes what are the types of crashes and is there a mitigation for the crashes. Then there is a cost benefit ratio for the proposed solution. Sometimes there's more than one alternative, but all that the engineering goes is done basically before the project starts. So the project was nominated to signalize the intersection of Parks Highway and Sheep Creek Road Extension. You probably all have taken a look at the website, and I have received some comments from the members, and we also have had Kim attend the open house. We've received quite a few comments today. I think probably more than 70. We did a public outreach in September when I tried to gather from public what their issues are at the intersection. And then we did another public outreach now that we have a preliminary design for the intersection. Right now, the project, we're doing the environmental document, preparing that. The website had 2 alternatives.
These are these.
Alternatives, and really what's happening is most of the crashes are from the Sheep Creek Road. The traffic turning left and right, and the proposed signal will fix the cause of the left turning traffic, because that will be able to go only on the protected green left arrow. So these 2 alternatives are to address safety, increase safety, and to address the crashes we got of the right turning vehicles. During the 10-year period, we looked at the crashes. There were thankfully no reported crashes for non-motorized users. As you can see, because we have to put the signal here, we are going to have to kind of reconstruct the intersection. We are doing the preliminary, proposed design right now to try to figure out what we are trying to build, what are going to be the environmental impacts of that. So that's for those 2 alternatives. We're trying to cover. Trying to think one out. As you can see, like the overall project and the change to the intersection is that we'll put a median between the 2 eastbound lanes. the configuration of the intersection will stay the same. The traffic is working the same. You know, the number of lanes and the use of the lanes. Is going to be the same as it is now, but we'll add a physical barrier of a median, between the for the eastbound traffic. And, the alternative A on the top of the screen, would offset the right turning lane. Sorry, would add a, auxiliary lane for the right turning traffic from the Sheep Creek Road to be able to basically just make a turn and then accelerate and merge with the through traffic. It would be similar to the signalized intersections we have along this corridor, not that far in Fairbanks with University Avenue, Hager and Lathrop. The alternative B would offset the existing right turn pocket for the traffic that's westbound on Parks and will be turning right on the Sheep Creek Road. And the advantage of this alternative is putting the median between the right turning pocket there will improve safety of the vehicles who are going to turn right from the Sheep Creek Road extension. Because currently when they are stopped over there and they look over, there are three issues happening. One is that we got from the crash history. One is that they are unsure where the vehicles they see when they look to the left, they're unsure if they're in the turning lane or if they're in the through lane. So that that's one issue. The other one, we got reported change of lane that we get from people, but sometimes people are in the turn pocket, but then they change their mind and go into the through lane. And another issue is that the configuration of the roadway between the profile of the Parks Highway and the turn pocket being right next to through lane in that curve, a larger vehicle in the turn pocket can block a vehicle in the through lane, and that was some causes of the crashes and was also reported near crash that I received as one of the public comments. So that's why we're proposing is one of the alternatives to offset that. The adding the auxiliary lane will take care of the same concerns because the concerns are for the right turning traffic. And adding the auxiliary lane will also eliminate another concern we have at this intersection, and that's glare from the sun. At certain time of year and certain time of day, we have reports that the vehicles turn, but they can't tell because of the glare from the sun if there are vehicles approaching. So as you know, along the Parks Highway is the shared use spot. The project is going to impact the shared use spot because it comes to the intersection. We received comments to bring up the shared use spot higher, so there is a good visibility when people are approaching the intersection. The vehicles can already see them. You know, they don't just come up at the last minute. With this proposed design, we received several comments from public, having, for the most part, public likes putting the signal in, but we have received some comments for the non-motorized users. You know, asking us to see if we can adjust the non-motorized crossing as we have it on the figures right now. This is one of the safe solutions that there are. However, you know, we acknowledge that it requires basically 3 crossings. So, I just wanna say we are going to, we're still in the preliminary stages, so we're going to look at that and look at alternative to, what we can do for the non-motorized users. It's improvements in this intersection, like about any of our projects, it's a balance of what we can do for every user. We always have competing interests. Parks, highways, truck route, it is a high-speed road and it continues to be high-speed through town. So there is that, the non-motorized path there that was built in 2007 has been greatly appreciated by the community. We received, Urban Cycle Club, they gave us comments during both of the, comment periods that, they support the project. They really appreciate having the pathway there and improving safety of the crossing. So, yeah, I think, is that good? Is that something that you were looking for? I wasn't sure.
Yeah, that's definitely something I'm looking for, by having here, and I know that some BPAC members specifically wanted to be able to have an open dialogue, just. In this forum and, yeah, discuss the elephant in the room that is, it's a fantastic design for vehicle travel. And, yeah, just wondering maybe what those potential alternatives are for this, mitigating this 3 road crossing situation.
So we don't, like, we haven't met and, looked at that yet. We just paused the public comment period. One of the balancing acts, right, is, the existing crossing is very long right now. And, we have to signalize it for a specified time and we generally don't do single really long crossings. We break them up because balancing the need for all users. So I think what we are going to look at is, what can we do? I don't know that we can do a single crossing. Can we just break it up into 2? We haven't yet decided which of these 2 alternatives we're gonna go forward with. We received, I consider very valid comments, for concerns with the public also slip lanes, right, the right turn, yield lanes, yep. And, having that crosswalk over there. The thing when the vehicles are not coming to a stop, they know they're not gonna come to a stop, so there's, the travel speed is slower. We manage that by tightening the radii at those, on those turns, so they have to slow down there. So that's something that we discussed at the public open house also. With one of the users that came and, also expressed that concern. So we'll look at, if we do end up going with this configuration, how do we make that safer? I think right now, really, kind of everything is on the table, except I don't know if Ron is attending. I think raised crosswalk is not on the table. But, sorry, Ron. But,
But that's a control, it's gonna be controlled. Be lights there or ways to.
as we have it right now, no, and I don't know, we will have to talking about options with the traffic engineers. It's not my area of expertise. But we are going to look at what we can do. The yield there kind of prevents it. We have the option of the rectangular rapid flashing beacon, like you see around towns. We also got a public comment in the open house. Even if you don't put those in, then you can put the conduit in. So if it becomes warranted to put that in, conduit. So the conduit for future installation would be already in place. But yeah, as of right now, But I am trying to get, and I don't know what, what feedback you all have. I have not heard from the users that I know, the University of Fairbanks. Cause I drive this every day. I live, in the Esther area, and I see their users on the roller skis there in the summer. And I don't know if we make that crossing more user friendly for them. I don't know if they go all the way to Geist, if they would go all the way to Geist. I think it's gonna be a challenge for groups of people to cross it the way it is right now, so that's why we're going to look at it.
Yeah, and there are the bike rides now from Bankstown too, and they go to Astor pretty regularly. Big groups of people.
Yeah, and we want to keep the bikers on the path and not on the highway.
Look, so, we're gonna call on Travis first and then you can go. Travis, do you have a comment or a question?
Thanks, Yvette, for that background. That's great. Yeah, I guess my first question is why the separated right turn lane from Sheep Creek to the parks at all? Because it seems like that right turn is one of the reasons for the crashes. So if that right turn lane was signalized at the same time as the left turn lane, then those people turning right towards Esther could go when there's a green. And then I guess that leads into my second sort of concern, which is I like the idea of breaking up the long crossing, but I don't like breaking it up and then leaving 2/3 of it unsignalized, because I find that those crossings of the right turn lanes are actually the scarier parts of my criticism at the intersection with that configuration.
Thank you. Yeah, so, the yield lane, separating the right turn crossing, the driver would obey that similarly to what they do now, right? Like if they are sure that they can make that turn, that without coming to a complete stop, they can, but,
They will, they won't stop.
yeah, that's a good.
Well, I
point.
guess, I mean, you could put a note, you could put it at the red light and then you could say no right on red and then you could have it turn green.
Yeah, or we can put it on the red light and require them to come to a stop. And then they can turn on red and that will still improve the non-motorized. I don't know that we have that much luck with the no right on red in town. There are specific conditions where we put that in. And I don't know, what is your concern with the no right on red?
I guess I just like the current right turn from Sheep Creek onto the parks going towards Esther is a stop sign, so people are supposed to stop. I know not everybody does stop, but I think people are supposed to stop. But I feel like if you give them their own lane, they're gonna go fast. I mean, even if you make the radius tight, they're still gonna go as fast as the radius could possibly let it go. And they're probably not gonna go bikers or others.
Travis, your audio is not the best. I don't know if you're moving around.
Oh, sorry. Is
I
it better?
That's a little bit better, yeah.
Yeah, I guess I feel like currently people don't stop at the stop sign all the time. But if you make their own lane where they know that they don't have to come to a complete stop, then they won't come anywhere close to a complete stop.
Yeah, that's really, you're referring to that alternative A. I'm guessing, because there they just get their own lane. So the idea of this one, right, is that as a non-motorized user, you really just have that one direction of traffic that you need to gauge that you're crossing at a time. And we align that crossing, so, you know, for good visibility, when you look over to the left, the Sheep Creek. You know, you have a good line of sight to make the judgment of I can go now.
I know.
Whether you can go now as a non-motorized person, but it doesn't give any indication to the driver that there might be people going.
Correct.
I know my experiences with those little slip lanes like that, people are always looking left at the traffic. And they're never looking right at where the pedestrians are.
Mhm.
They're looking to make that acceleration and they just completely, they're not thinking about pedestrians. Where I think what Travis is getting at is instead of having that slip lane, if it's a stop sign or a hard right, they should be coming to a complete stop, and it's a lot easier to judge whether or not they're going to stop. Or with the slip lane, they're gonna go as far as they can.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and a lot of times what happens is they'll end up directly across the striped section. Waiting to accelerate. That's, I mean, every time I cross, University and Geist and, Johansson. It's the drivers coming from University onto Johansson, they're looking left to accelerate right, they stop right at the striped section of the road.
Yeah, I don't know why I mean, well, I guess I do know, but, I believe, you can correct me, you know, that the crosswalk is, you know, set back to allow that crossing behind a vehicle. I don't know the research behind this design and just to. I would expect it to be close to the, you know, place where you're actually going to turn. And I'm sure there is a reason for it, other than, you know, there will be a one vehicle. Or maybe, yeah, I don't know. That's why we are going to look at this because also you know, we can influence the pattern of the driver somewhat. Like if we end up keeping this alternative, we can tighten that radius there. Yep, that one that will, you know, make the vehicle slow down more. We can do things like that, but that's why I want the design team and the traffic engineers who, you know, it's their bread and butter to know all the alternatives for us to meet and to figure out, you know, how to make this so, you know, vehicles don't have to wait like 3 or 4 minutes when we press the, you know, non-motorized crossing button, but also the shared use path will maybe even become more of a destination for just recreational or whatnot, you know.
The only other thing that stands out to me, and it's where the bike path makes that hard left to come into the little pork chop there. See where the yield sign is on the right?
Yeah, I like it too.
Well, I don't like it. I know, I think Corey calls them desire lines.
Yeah.
And what's gonna happen is that grass section is just gonna get run over by four-wheelers and bikes and everything else. Where if you were to just continue it, basically right to the stripe. To me, that just makes a lot more sense, and you could even do the same thing on the other side. Just open up the sidewalk area. Like,
Yeah, so
that's a pretty minor.
it's a conceptual design. It has been shown that especially, you know, pedestrians like to take the pathway least long that's available to them. The reason for that curve is to align the
The shortest path.
bicyclists, yeah. is to align the bicyclists, so when they are going to make that decision, they can turn left and they have good visibility at that, right turn pocket, so it's, um. Safer, even though it doesn't look the best. Yeah, if we leave it that way, maybe we'll put a textured concrete or something like that, to discourage bikers with the long pads, be my guess.
So from that viewpoint, you're saying it's safest for like a
It
bicyclist to
aligns.
look left, right? But then how?
I'm just saying, like, I can easily see,
Oh, no, I know what you're
you know,
saying.
the cyclists
Yeah,
continuing,
no, I know what you're saying.
But-
I'm just wondering about like the perspective like of the driver, because, okay, if the concern is for the pedestrian or the bicyclist standing here being able to look left or right. But we're not anticipating cars to stop before the crosswalk, but assuming that they're gonna be placing themselves after the crosswalk. That also sounds scary because I'm not sure which. The checks and balances, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Jeff.
I'm gonna come under and talk. I'm dead against it. Okay, because I bicycle all the time and crossing, on Old Steve's. We have the college road coming up there and there's that curve. And so you're way off there. You're way back from the corner of the sidewalk. And the problem is, you have a maintenance problem here. And too bad Ron's not here, because he pointed out. The guys plowing don't know where this is. And so they plow straight ahead. And, and so let's put it there. And the other thing is, by the time this car's gotten here, he's looking for traffic out here. He's not looking for anybody across the street here.
Yeah, that was his point,
So
right?
to put it out there, I know the whole purpose, through engineering has been to minimize the crossing distance. But I think up here, it doesn't make any sense. We need to do it so maintenance can do it during the winter and, people know where it's at.
I don't wanna upset you, but that pot is not maintained in the winter.
That's part of what?
It's not maintained in the winter, it's only, it's
Well, I
not
was gonna
plowed.
ask that, I was wondering about that.
Right, but there are.
But
My
people,
point still is that when the cars got up to here, they're looking for the car up here.
Right, yeah,
And so, it should be back here. So that, before they start that turn, they know there's somebody in that crosswalk. And
I'm sorry, you said it should be further that way, the
I think
pedestrian
it should be
crossing?
closer, I think it should be up. So you're going straight across. This is quite a green. Is the trail's gonna be that far off?
It's conceptual right now,
Okay.
so.
That's where it is, right?
Well, I mean, I would just come across like that, at least you're up here. I'd get it as close to the beginning of the curve as possible. So if people are not quite looking for cars yet, they're looking maybe to see if there's bicyclists or pedestrians. So,
despite not being made,
that island over at, College and, Old Steve's, it's a disaster. I mean, it doesn't get plowed and it's just not, that, you would never knew where the crosswalk was during the winter, never. So,
Steve, did you have a comment that you wanted to share regarding this?
And I'd like to say that during the winter, when it's not plowed, I see it's still used as a path. And it's used as a path by a variety of vehicles besides the pedestrians and the bicycles. The few bicycles, fat wheel bikes or whatever. And this becomes complicated. The plows block off the paths and going round, you've got the ATV vehicles, you know, dragging, gravel, you know, all over the place.
Yeah.
So I think it's got to be thought out a little bit more than just as it is now. That's just what I'm thinking, that's it. Thank you.
I don't know what we can do about if we don't have the islands, I think it's going to look similar to what it does now. I did talk to Ron and ask him if he can, while they have, you know, equipment there, if they can try to kind of move the berm, and he said when they have a grader around, they can try to at least, you know, open up the area for the users who use it in the winter, even though, you know, it's not maintained, so. Hopefully that, you know, that can happen when they get around to it. It won't be, you know, the first snow removal, but at least a couple times a year, I think that was the improvement.
It looks like PB has her hand up. PB, do you have a comment?
Hi, I don't know if you can see me, but I'm here. No, there I am. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of go back. I don't know who the gentleman is sitting to Yvette's right, but I wanted to follow up on a comment he made about it would be the right turn from Sheep Creek onto Park. I think I understand well enough the concerns with that right turn. And you're right, as folks are going, you know, they're destined for the Parks Highway, 55 mile an hour, they're gonna be looking upstream for traffic to see if they can just keep going. And they're probably not gonna pay a lot of attention to what's on the pathway itself. I see that happen a lot at, when I take Johansson westbound and I come up to the University Avenue crossing, you've got the bike path to your right. And I'm so used to looking to my left at upstream traffic, or that traffic that are gonna come my way, that you forget about that bike path right there. And so I know what you're talking about. What I'm really curious with this group is, I think that's a pretty well understood concern. Is there a sentiment from this group on like one of these alternatives versus another? Because right now I think we're hearing a mixed bag from the public comments, but with this group, I hear the concern with the pathway and doing that jog. Trust me, I understand what you're talking about, especially because I've made a similar comment. And I'm on the design team, guys. So those are things that we definitely look at. But I'm curious, is there a sentiment from this group of liking one of the alternatives versus the other? And if you don't want that southbound right turn lane, what are the concerns with where your mouse is right now, whoever's running the thing there?
If I was to make changes, you've got that center section where you're crossing two lanes. I would move the turn from the parks onto the Sheep Creek extension there, up further, and just directly cross two lanes, and I would make that right turn by the vehicles just a hard right. And then I would move.
Sorry, David, but he'll show me.
You're crossing two lanes right here. What if you just crossed two lanes right here, and then here you just had it kind of how it functions now with a hard right? And then you just move this kind of here. So it's cross, you've got to pause and then cross two lanes, and then you're eliminating one entirely. I don't know if that, like, from a design point of view and engineering point of view, I don't know if that makes a huge change. I know it would move the crosswalk out of the intersection, so I'm sure that's not ideal, but.
Right, so then the next question is, where do we put the vehicles who are going to turn from Sheep Creek? Typically, we put them behind the crossing. right? Like,
Yeah,
so it would move them way over there, and then the intersection is not going to function very efficiently because every vehicle coming out of Sheep Creek is gonna have that additional. I ran this project by UAF seniors as one of their part of the class, and that was also a suggestion we got from one of the groups. It's like, instead of them crossing everywhere, can we just cross where it narrows down, and it's really nice, like it makes sense, but like I really liked it, but then I started thinking about it. Another problem that I see with it is, the vehicles will like eastbound from Parks, right, going toward Fairbanks, turning left. They have their lights, so they will want to just, continue
yeah,
going.
you'd almost have to make it a controlled crossing versus uncontrolled like it is now.
Yeah, and then that is too close to that intersection being.
I could add, one thing that's coming to mind is the Lathrop, where you cross over in front of Lathrop High School, like they have that crossing kind of setback from the airport way intersection.
Needs to go away, my kid refuses.
So I mean, that's, yeah, it's,
And we would probably put that like, we would have to put that further from that intersection, is my guess.
you want to move it closer to ours right now, currently, right?
Well, right now it's.
Yeah, that was like, when we were looking at it, but like I said, we haven't really looked at, like. I looked at this, like, what are our footprint options, and let's go with that. This is a pretty fast-paced project, so, normally. We would let this out a little more, but, we are supposed to do the whole project from start to finish in like around 12 months, and it's a pretty major task.
I think no matter what you do, everybody's gonna have an issue with it.
Well, that's, I did accept that as part of my job, is that I can't please everyone, and I really don't like it, but what I try to do is like have a good balance, so, like try to give everyone what they can.
Dawn, did you have a comment about?
Question. First, actually two questions. First question is, the state has roundabout first policy.
Mhm.
Why was the roundabout not considered or not presented as an alternative?
It was considered as part of the project nomination. And Signal was chosen as the preferred alternative because of the consistency of the corridor. Because of the freight movements on the parks. And now that we received survey information. Is the 2.5% profile in parks? So to construct roundabout, we'll have to flatten such a large area that the environmental impact would be much greater than doing Signal here.
And then the second question is, when is this coming forward for LPA?
We're in the environmental right now. My guess would be September. And once we figure out the design, I'm thinking about doing a work session.
That would be great.
Travis, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I wanted to respond to, is it BP? Yeah, I guess my issue with your question about whether one alternative is better than the other, from a driver perspective, I think the alternative that's best depends on whether you live in Fairbanks and turn onto Sheep Creek, or whether you live in Esther and turn onto the parks, because both those alternatives are great for drivers who are turning right. And it just depends on which right you do more often is going to tell you which one you like better. But my issue as a cyclist is that the slip lane crossings that are not controlled at all feel like the really dangerous crossings in town. And so anytime I see a slip lane being proposed, like a right turn slip lane being proposed in a intersection redo, I have to question whether it's actually necessary to make that slip lane to speed up drivers a little bit and make non-motorized people feel less safe. I mean, in this case, the crossing is really long, so I appreciate the desire to make the crossing shorter. And I don't know that you can get away from the slip lane going from the parks onto Sheep Creek because there's already a right turn lane there. People are already used to it. I guess I just questioned the other one. I would like to see a 2-part crossing instead of a 3-part crossing.
I think we'll look at it. One of the things that I want to look at also is if we, we don't put that one island there, maybe we can do a green right arrow, right? Like I really like it as a driver when I go from university onto college road, because then I know I don't have to look for non-motorized, because if I have a green arrow, we can just go. And if the non-motorized, the push button would get rid of that one.
Yes, that would be my favorite compromise.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, like I drive it, I bike it, not as much as you guys probably, because my kids are just getting to the age where I can bike all the way there with them. But what I recognize is that we are putting a signal at an intersection that does not have a signal, and we are going to be inconveniencing, good number of the users here. That's my thing behind that. One of my things behind, trying to make that intersection efficient. And yeah, I really appreciate all the comments I got, and especially the comments I got for the, the non-motorized users that use this crossing. It just makes it easier for us to, maybe that's just, just mentally for me, but it makes it easier for us to try to accommodate more when, we really hear from the communities what matters to us. So I appreciate it. Don?
Just one more question. There's several examples in town, and I know there's examples all over the state where we're actually taking slip lanes out. Is there, because they don't function well. And yet, on new projects, we seem to be putting them in with impunity. And I'm just wondering, have the two sides talked to each other about what's better, to have hard turns or to have slip lanes? Because we put them in, we take them out.
If you
Sign them in again,
if you can give me example, then I would really like.
College in Illinois.
Huh?
College in Illinois.
And Tiger and Johansson.
Tiger and Johansson, yeah.
So what's happening at those? They did not get removed. They changed the angle of
Well, they
the,
got removed at College in Illinois. Sure as heck did. You gotta go all the way up to the intersection now to make a right-hand turn. There is no slip lane there.
okay, I'll look into that. But the one at the Phillips Field or near the Phillips Field, is that the one you meant?
Yep.
That one got realigned,
Yep, so it's a more sharp right-hand turn.
right, to
It's
cause
not just a
the,
merge lane.
Where's that? Phillips and what?
The off-ramp from the Johansson onto Pegger as you're traveling eastbound. South side of Johansson.
yeah, like before you get to Phillips Field.
Yep.
So the thing behind that is that, I actually got a comment on that doesn't like it. They don't like the changes. But the thing behind that is, the ability, like person's ability to look over their shoulder as they age, it gets lower. And some of those, they basically like aligned you, but you don't have your own lane before you merge. So by the time you have to make a decision if you can go, you have to be able to turn pretty far back. I haven't been to chiropractor in a while, I can see that. But.
Yeah, you do pretty well.
Thanks, but so that's why we're realigning that and changing that angle of that yield, like that was the one, by, before Phillipsville. And it was HSIP, it was driven by
It
crashes.
definitely feels safer now than what it was. I like that improvement that they did there.
Good.
You're talking
Yeah,
about-
I go through it
This
every
one.
day.
It used to kind of follow that yellow
Yeah,
line.
totally it did.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's much safer.
But there's have really long radii too. I think that's
Yeah.
also kind of the thing that's driving the higher speed along the slip lanes, where you tighten up the radii. You do get to sit back.
Some got reconstructed.
Yeah, now you have to go all the way to the intersection, you can't.
Because they
The slip
had-
lane got filled in.
Mhm. Do you guys like the planter in the median? Come on. Now the median has a planter, so it looked really good last summer. I think it's gonna continue to look good. The comment I got from Ron on this Park Sheep Creek, just don't plant anything there. I told him it's okay, it's good enough green around.
He's here now. He's gonna know you're throwing him under the bus.
Oh, he knows, right, Ron? I'm sitting at your spot, so. Sorry. So we will not be putting any planters in any traffic islands on this project. I just want to clarify that.
You know, Yvette, you made the comment that you have a turn lane to go on to College from Illinois. You could do the same thing here
And I think that's what they're going to look at.
and not have that right turn lane.
Yeah.
As a slip lane.
Which I think which will potentially eliminate, like when we look at that, I don't know that alternative, I would make sense after that.
Why are those slip lanes so highly used nowadays?
Why are they? Well, in this case, the left turning traffic from Parks is going into the same lane as the right turning traffic from Parks. So I think it's just the intersection condition.
Slip lanes, they are intended for breaking up decisions, like first you look for your pad, make sure there's nobody there, and you go through and then you look for traffic. But then make the turn, previously you just had these really large radii that people could just, if, like say for instance, you've got the green line of cars, you could go around the turn at like 45 miles an hour. And these ones, you're getting reduced to something more like 20 miles an hour.
What's the comment from Ron maintenance? You know, that's a major deal for them to plow around all that stuff, so I wonder.
He is here, but I don't know. Ron, you should have microphone privileges, if you're available to chat about
Just don't throw me under the bus.
maintenance visions here. I don't know if you-
Until I mean, we went over this, I went over this with him, he considered the, snow removal operation they have on Parks.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be too big a deal to plow. And everybody was scared about how we were gonna take care of GARs, and that goes pretty well, I think, for plowing. Takes us longer to clean it when we're there with graders, but I don't see this as being too big an issue.
So Ron, I did mention what you told me, that when you have grader in the area, you will try to clear out the berms on when you can during the winter for the users who use the path in the winter.
Yep,
So
yep, we will definitely try to keep those bike path entrances open.
So yeah, I really want to look at this because, you know, this also serves, truck traffic and oversized trucks. So, as we get closer with the detailed design, when you zoom in on this, I think, you know, some of those corners are gonna have more pavement, so, yeah, that's, you know, one of those concerns that we have to address and I want to consider, because when we provide more pavement for vehicles, then they take it as theirs, sometimes regardless of, you know, where the fog line is.
Do we have any more comments from online right now? Anyone else in the room have any?
Just, what's the next steps on this? You're gonna get more comments, obviously.
Well, comment period closed last week.
Oh, well, maybe not. So that's the next step.
The next step is we need to, we're still working on the environmental document, so we need to figure out what we are actually proposing to build. Next week, we are meeting to, look at alternatives for the non-motorized crossing. You know, this is one alternative, right? So between trying to fine tune the, you know, choose alternative and choose one of these alternatives, continue to work on the environmental document. When we have something, when we have an update, we have a mailing list. So we'll send that out. We might push it to the social media as well. But yeah, at that point, it's gonna be, you know, I envision more of a, hey, you know, here is an update. It's not gonna be give us your comments type of thing. We'll take comments, but you know, the project, the comment period has ended, and at some point, we have to just move forward with design. But you know, we fine tune the design until it's built, right? The schedule is to construct this next summer. It's really fast paced. You know, the consultant who is doing the design is Keen Engineering. They were able to work with us on this to start designing it before we even gave them the ground survey that we got here. They were able to get other data that was, you know, good enough to start. But it's a pretty good undertaking. The Parks Highway has 2.5% slope there. You know, it's a little bit of an incline. We will have to flatten it. They're looking because, you know, we'll stop vehicles and they will have to get going. So we'll have to provide some landing for the vehicles so they can get going before they have to, you know, go up on an incline. So we're looking at how to make it fit there, that it seems like it was always there and not just, you know, have a little roller coaster there to do that. Right now, the road has a super elevation of 5.5% there. So the left turning vehicles from the parks, from the Sheep Creek onto Parks. When you combine the super elevation with the profile of the Parks Highway, it's quite a slope. We'll be able to maybe cut it close to in half. So that will be an improvement as well. Putting the median there between the two eastbound lanes, we'll be able to play with grades on each side of the median. So the through lane that's gonna continue going, you know, at 55 or 60 can get a full super elevation. And the receiving lanes from the Sheep Creek Road will not have to go into that super elevation. So kind of exciting, you know, there's a lot of opportunities to make improvements here just by putting, just by redoing that intersection, but, one thing that would delay the project is if we will have utility conflicts, and we don't know that yet. Other than that, I think we can. The plan is for next summer.
By that. It's been a really great discussion. I think we've all had a good opportunity to provide our input here. So I just want to thank Yvette and the community engineering for coming, visiting with us. We'll go ahead and move on to our next item here, which is item 8B, Alaska Walkability Action Institute on page 32. Okay, Olivia.
So this sort of happened really quickly, but what was it? The National Association of Chronic Disease, the office out of Anchorage, they acquired a grant to bring the Walkability Action Institute to the state of Alaska, and over the course of like a week and a half, several communities threw together a team, and we have a Fairbanks team, yay! So I'm the planner on the team, and then we've got Randy Bailey, who represents transportation, Erin Worley, who is the public health nurse, that was a requirement for our teams, and then we have an elected official, and that is Sue Sprinkle with the city of Fairbanks as our 4th team member. So this grant covers training and travel to training to get educated in what it means to be a Walkability Action Institute community. So we're really in the early stages, but I just wanted to let you all know that this feels like a really tangible, hands-on way to get some, not just community-wide recommendations, but statewide recommendations for making an activity-friendly community. So the goal is to encourage communities to provide welcoming, safe, and convenient places to play, walk, roll, take transit, and bike to enjoy destinations that the community already has. So doing an audit and doing an audit on the resources that we have, and then an audit on how people get there or could get there. So we're doing our first assignment right now as a group, and then we're all convening in Anchorage the first week of May, I think, to kind of go over it. But I wanted to show you our first assignment is a photo voice assignment. So basically just like using pictures to tell a story, right? This is so problematic. Okay. And so the team has just been collaborating on photos in like a iPhone shared album. And the idea is to present 2 photos that show the good, 2 photos that show the bad, 1 that shows walkable and movable for all, and then a surprise photo for something that the Walkability Action Institute might not necessarily be thinking of. And so Jackson and I kind of bounced around a couple on the bad, but the good so far, I've got these 2, which I'm open to alternative picture suggestions, but I really like this photo because you know, it shows that, okay, we've got multiple modes here. The sidewalk is wide, it's clear. And they're separated from traffic, and then we've got the bus stop and showing that transit is being planned for. And then this one shows 2 maintenance crew members out there working on the sidewalk right in the heart of our downtown. So those were the ones that from our photo album that seemed the best to articulate like the good, when, you know, when it feels like everybody's on it. And then for the bad, I was just telling Jackson about this. I took this picture when I was pregnant and I went out for a walk. And right here you can see where the little tractor thingy-majig turned around and decided to go a different way. I still don't really know why. And then you can see this sort of like goat path, but there would also been like a fresh snowfall, so it wasn't completely tracked out. But then you can see that the roadway here is just completely clear for vehicles. So it felt like that was a really strong representation of the bad. And then Sue submitted this photo. It's a little blurry, but this is actually over in that college area. I think this might be someone actually exiting Costco. And I believe there is a sidewalk here. But either the person is a tourist and doesn't know. I mean, that's definitely a strong consideration. Like, I feel like when I'm navigating around, I know when there is a sidewalk. But when you have people visiting who don't know, this person opted to just walk right here because this is where they see pavement, because that's what their brain has trained them, like they've trained their brain to say, okay, like this is a walkable surface, this is not a walkable surface. So this is another great photo because it also just shows how not maintaining this area, and then also how this planning has again prioritized vehicles. So those are the two that we have for the bad. This one, I felt really lucky to just see this person this day. That's a fast planning vest, but what? And they've got a walker and they're on the sidewalk and there's snow. So it's like winter city meets high visibility meets adaptive device. And I thought that that was a pretty strong representation of like, it's possible and we need to be thinking more in this context. And then the surprise photo, we're gonna opt to talk about air quality concerns because we're really one of the only communities in the institute for the state of Alaska that has as big of a challenge with this. And so this was a photo I had actually, I think for my first year of fast planning, and that's from like February. And yeah, just basically saying, you know, that poor air quality could be a reason that somebody decides not to be active, you know, one day or many days of the year. And it's not just winter, it's summer too. So those are our photos. We're planning to present them. Unless any of you are like, oh, I've got one that would be way better, please let me know. We're planning to present them, I believe, next Wednesday. So, and we're, I think, the first community up out of 6 communities. So just wanted y'all to know that this is happening, and as materials are produced, we're going to be getting a lot of education and a lot of materials, and I'm planning to disseminate as much of that information in a digestible format to you all as possible, so that we can sort of navigate through this tangibility of making a difference together. So that's my plan. Ooh, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, yeah, I was thinking like, it's very hard, and when we had the entry to this assignment, they were like, it's really hard to choose, you know, just 2 photos or just 7 photos. So anyways, yeah, it's like, this doesn't account for the drainage issues that we have all over the community, and the berms. Nobody really has pictures of berms except Jackson. So we have to submit tomorrow to get some feedback before we present. So we'll kind of see what manifests. Yeah, it's all in one too. So
I'm considering writing the owner of the building, because when they plow the side of their driveway, it totally blocked the sidewalk all winter. In fact, there were people were coming through, there's a garage parking lot.
yeah.
Of course, then there's no handicap.
I think Matt has actually talked about this exact, did you emailed me that? I think Matt's talked about that exact intersection. The one over off of Airport and University in front of the Best Buds and like that whole, yeah. So anyways, okay, that's that. I don't need to belabor it much longer. Just let y'all know.
Yeah, it looks like a really great photo essay. Thanks for putting that together, and thank you for participating in that organization. Like our next item is committee meeting frequency on page 34. Okay, so the page 34 is our roles and responsibilities statement. And
Yeah, I can introduce it. Really, I would like to propose that we knock back to every other month meetings. with the launch of the bike friendly Fairbanks program and the other efforts and connections and relationships that we've been making, not just through that, but stronger visibility in the community, I'm finding it really difficult to be productive with what's happening with the BPAC and in all of my other work with fast planning, and same for I mean, it's just, yeah, it would be, I think, a relief for everybody if we were able to not get back to 6 meetings a year. With the option to call special meetings or I can't see why BPAC would have an emergency meeting, but I'll so anyways, we don't.
There's a comment period, you know, like this one week.
Right, yeah, public comment period. Yep. So that's just my proposal, and we could, we don't have a meeting scheduled for next month because next month is Bike to Work Month, Bikeways map release, bike and pet count. There's just a lot happening. And that was sort of what gave me the idea, because I really feel like having that break, I'm already able to just like access the ability to just like do more work on this application, for example, or join the Walkability Action Institute. So that's my general introduction, and I'm curious what you'll think. Or Jackson, do you have anything to add?
No, when BPAC was formed in 2017, we were initially every other month.
Right.
For a few years, and then we switched it to monthly. So. And it's up to the committee how frequently you all like to meet.
I do know over the past year, we have canceled our meetings several times due to lack of agenda items. I think it would also give meeting members like the opportunity to like maybe volunteer for some of these programs that we do throughout the year. And pursue other interests or the books that we've been reading as well.
My feeling, I'm nervous about it because I think maybe a list of what could be at the next meeting and decide whether that next meeting doesn't need to happen rather than saying every other month, because you know that's not going to work here and there. But you know, if there's nothing pressing, well, then let's cancel the meeting. But I'm nervous, you know, we changed it back to monthly for a reason. But, you know, I see the dead time too. Tough one.
It is tough. Muted.
I think that the discussion we've had tonight is those are the kind of meetings that I find the most useful. And so I don't mind the idea of doing an every other month regularly scheduled meeting and then try to target meetings for these kind of issues. And I wish that I had been a little bit more on the ball of thinking about the fact that this comment period was happening before it was over already, before I suggested that I don't know if anybody else suggested that we invite DOT. I know I emailed and said I would like to invite them about this Sheep Creek intersection.
For the record, I do have in my email from Yvette, she said that they would consider this, like they would take these comments today. So, but yeah, I agree. And I just from my perspective and going back to sort of the introduction of the item, I think that by pivoting to every other month, it would give me the opportunity to be more on the ball for you guys in terms of like, these are the things that I've discovered that are going on that are relevant to the things that you care about. And let's all take a look at it through email and do what we can off of the meeting time. And then when we convene, we would have a better understanding. Because right now it's just like the pace with our other 3 committees and then all of this other stuff that's happening. It's definitely been challenging to be on the ball for you guys the way that I want to, and that's a perfect example, Travis, because I also was like, wait, what? But I also think that comment period was like 2 weeks and I was confusing. It was really fast.
Yeah.
So anyways, yes, thanks for making that point. Realized that was totally out of step with Robert's was important, but.
Yeah, and I guess this brings up something that um I've tried to bring up in our complete streets group discussion when we're working that we've been working on. Um, that I feel like the bicycle and pedestrian advisory committee often gets sort of this same time period as the public comment period. But it would be kind of great if both the city and the state um, projects were kind of presented to us earlier, so we could give this kind of non-motorized feedback earlier. And I don't know if going to a every other month, but then trying to like make special meetings where we invite design teams to have a dialogue with us earlier in their projects would be feasible.
Anyone have any other comments?
I'm kind of torn on this too, because Jim, I mean, we get, usually a stack full of papers just on a month, 2 months, we'll get a book. I mean, it's enough for me to get through this stuff, let alone doubling it. I mean, I think Jim's idea may be kind of. I don't know that we need it every month, but we could kind of make, I don't know how we would do it. Make a decision on the case by or month by month basis or.
What, like hearing Travis's comment, what if it was like a scheduled meeting like we have currently every other month? And then the alternating months be just comment on DOT projects and stuff like that, and we schedule it to be an hour.
Like a work session.
Yeah,
Of that.
That's fine with me.
Yeah, that could work.
because then it's still like, it's on everybody's radar every month, but it's not, we need a full agenda every month.
Yeah, you're just meeting on one topic.
Yeah.
Like we
You could
have-
potentially query DOT and say, hey, we don't have a meeting in May, but we could have a work session if you have any projects coming up. Or what projects do you have coming up, and we could tell you which ones we want to comment on or something.
Yeah, that's.
Who do we contact over there at DOT for that kind of thing? And they
It
respond.
varies
Yeah.
based on who's the project lead.
Yeah, I think we look at the website.
But there's not many of them. I mean, there's John Tardos, there's Beth Hall, there's Ethan Grates, there's Nathan Steven. So there's only like 5 project managers. So we can send them a group email.
Yeah.
And see where their projects are at, and if there's anything ready that has a non-lawyer's aspect, that they could do a 1 hour long work session with the committee. And then that gives everybody flexibility of scheduling the date too, because it wouldn't be a set date. Schedule work sessions from noon to 1 and then feed everybody lunch.
Yeah. One.
Yeah,
So-
that's a solid plan. That's more solid. I was gonna propose then. It's like, could we do every 6 weeks? Because I really just feel like it's like 2 weeks extra is what would be useful in these scenarios, but.
And we know oftentimes, May's canceled because the bike ped counts, and then oftentimes December's canceled because of the holidays. Right, those are 2 particular months
That's
that,
true.
we know that we're likely not gonna be.
So do we want to vote on this or do we want to take some time to like consider it?
What would you propose? Do it for every other month and there's a project to review or do special?
Work sessions.
Give it a try, I mean, why not?
So is that the motion?
Think so.
All right, Jim made a motion.
Motions.
Second.
Okay, Matt, second.
Every other month and less.
Can you make
Right.
sure that the minutes show that Jackson promised us the line?
Yeah.
With lunch.
Uncrustables at Sam's Club or Roscoe.
You might evaluate, I don't know if there's a way to look back, but, what should be the months we meet, you know, every other month, but how do we?
Yeah, or maybe, maybe six scheduled meetings a year and then I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, it could be like 6 scheduled meetings per year, yeah.
Yeah.
Just December's an even month and May's not a month, so.
Yeah, we can look
But
into
we
it.
can put together a schedule.
And when we
Yeah.
have project scoring things to do, which I don't think we've done this year, but in the past we've done like project scoring discussions, we could make those kind of things workshops too.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't have any members of the public, so I don't think we can do it in comment period.
Oh.
All in favor?
Aye.
Here.
Okay, or any opposed? Great, hearing none. Carries, cool. Thanks, guys. Next item is item number 9 for informational items, our lit review.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know that because I'm in the Walkability Action Institute now, I won't be present at the committee in May to present on inclusive transportation, so that lit review is getting pushed to June. So just wanted to let you all know that they are still happening. That's it.
Any other items?
Just this, roles and responsibilities, where is this?
Where's this document maintained?
Yeah, we don't.
It's maintained within our policies and procedures to FAST Planning, so, what I'm gonna do is revise this with track changes to change the name of the committee. Change the, or add the new seats, the 4 new seats you guys asked for last month, and then on the last page, describe that meeting frequency of every other month with work sessions as needed. And then probably list a few examples of what those work sessions would be for. And then that's basically the revised, my edits to this will go forward to the technical committee and policy board at their May meetings.
So I have just a couple of comments and I'm really lax at this. I haven't got it done. Could I send them to you over?
Yes, no, so if you have any additional minor revisions, I'll make those, yeah.
I'll send it to
You
you.
necessarily need to vote on it. Yeah, can you send them to me by May 1st, by next Thursday?
Next week, early
Yeah.
next week. Oh, yeah. Yes,
Because I need to get my packet out next Friday, so get them to me by next Thursday,
yes.
I'll make them in.
You know, I can do it before that.
Okay,
Monday.
all right, that sounds great.
Claire? Are there any other committee member comments at this time? Okay,
Somehow I would like to see, somehow, I don't know how the bicycle pedestrian committee will get involved in it. But get some type of program going where we put covers over bicycle racks. And being an old contractor, it's something that wouldn't be too hard to do. But anyway, I don't know. I'd like to see that. I think if we're trying to encourage people to bicycle, that would really be a help.
To have racks.
No, not to have racks, but to have racks covered.
Shelter.
Covered, okay.
Pavilion roofs.
The racks are there for the most part, not all.
Yeah, not-
There's not like corrugated.
I don't have any plans of it, yes.
and I had just seeing how, like. FCC is doing the Matt Glover bike path ceremony, all that. Got me thinking, whatever happened with the signage for the Peter Stern pathway? Did we ever,
So Representative Carrick's office passed that on. We're trying to get that to the legislature, just like what was done for Mac Glover. She passed it on to Maxine Diver. And then Diver passed it. Was in hospital for a while. Now she's back in session. But she was designated to carry that through the
so
legislature.
we're just waiting on,
And I wrote the legislation for that, so they have it. And I don't know if it's gonna be introduced this session or if it's gonna be next, but. Eric and Divert support it, but they, for some reason, just, private reasons haven't put it forward.
yeah, I just hadn't heard an
The DOT
update,
said
so I figured I'd
that
ask.
we should have that done before. DOT has signs erected for the path.
Where's that ride starting from?
Yeah, the Mac Glover ride,
I don't know.
10 AM.
where is it starting?
Where's it start from? It's going to start from the GARS intersection end. But if people need to bike, I believe Eric is going to lead a group ride from Morris Thompson along the riverfront path to the start there.
Okay.
Somebody sent out an email out on that or something.
I know the cycle club has like pushed info out. I don't know how, whether it's through email or I've seen it on Facebook. Some of the emails that's been sent out as like membership stuff.
6 days ago, there will be a dedication.
Yeah, it'll be in an email Eric sent. Like a news list Eric sent.
Say that again.
There's like a newsletter email that Eric Troyer sends out for the cycle club, and it should be in that, like one of the more recent ones.
It's days ago. So.
Yeah.
It's us. The first time we've gotten that notification since we switched TechWise. So our connection's unstable.
So how are the signups for the bicycle and pedestrian count? Are people signing up to do that?
Not yet. I haven't even done a volunteer push yet. But we'll get there soon. No, I'm very excited. Today I finished digitizing the form for internal house use, and so I'm gonna start backdating all of the data tomorrow. And then I want to have a map of at least 3 years worth of data to do with volunteer push. But we have all sorts of things set up and ready to go to get volunteers. We're gonna do the QR code at the bike swaps. And we'll have packets and vests there for people. And then I'm also tabling at the downtown. There's like a Fairbanks downtown Thursday festival thing starting back up. So from 4 to 8 on May 15th, I'll also be tabling to get volunteers. So we got stuff in the works. It's almost like second nature now. But no volunteers signed up yet. Because I haven't asked them to. Does anyone else have any other comments right now? I, for one, am looking forward to Bike Month.
But with that, we can go ahead and entertain a motion to adjourn. Have motions. Larry second. All right, we adjourn now at 6:49.
Thanks, Travis. Thanks, Ron. Thanks, Phoebe. Adios.
Thank you guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.